Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are gonna jump into some really exciting projects today, but you might have noticed that behind me, my background looks a little bit different. We are actually staying at a Wander house in Joshua Tree this weekend, and they are so kindly sponsoring today's video. I've been a fan of Wander for a couple of years now, so to be able to partner with them and actually stay in a Wander house is pretty amazing. Wander is basically a luxury hotel meets a vacation rental, so you get the best of both worlds. And the house that we're staying in is in Joshua Tree, and it is a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with incredible views. You can even see Joshua Trees right outside this window, and I am just so obsessed with the design. I think you guys are really gonna like this house, so I'm gonna show you around and also share how one of you guys can actually stay at a Wander house for free. Okay, let's do the tour. So when you first walk in, you have a huge open floor plan. There is a gorgeous living room. Then there's a gorgeous dining and kitchen area. And I was already obsessed with this place when I was looking at photos, but this actually is better than the photos, if that's even possible, because in the photos, you won't see all the details that went into this house, like the ceilings are wood, the flooring is so beautiful, and it just has such a nice vibe. It definitely goes with the whole Joshua Tree aesthetic because it's very earthy and organic. Lots of wood materials are used here. And even this island, Brian was getting ideas for our future house because they come with all the amenities that you need, including a microwave that is actually in the island. I remember one time Brian was really excited about someone's microwave being a drawer, and this is one of those. They even wrote a nice little thank you card, and you can scan the QR codes around here, and everything is controlled within the app. So even to get to the house, I use the app, and I can even put the blinds down with the app. It also provided snacks and also drinks in the fridge, so they just really take care of you here. I've never have stayed in a house like this, so this is really exciting that you can have indoor outdoor living here. The views here are viewing, and look at how beautiful this is. You can have dinner out here. There's also a fire pit up in the front, and then I'm gonna show you guys the backyard and also the gym area, which is really awesome. So you can see there's multiple access points to get to the backyard, but I'm gonna take you guys to the primary in the back. And you'll also notice there's workstations. So in this one, there's 3 different workstations. That way you can work from home with this gorgeous setup, and they also have really fast Wi-Fi here, so you shouldn't have any issues. Welcome to the primary suite. I am so excited to sleep here tonight. You guys can see huge TV, workstation. This feels so fancy. It comes with all your little toiletries. I love the details. They have the Wander logo on the towels. And look at that shower. That looks amazing. You can go directly to the backyard from this room. There is a pool and a jacuzzi. Now I'm going to show you guys the garage, which I'm going to open with the app. Ta-da! And in the garage is actually a gym as well as a ping pong table and a Tesla. I love that they got an artist in here to make this beautiful mural. There is a Peloton, treadmill, rower, and also a sauna. Or you can casually just hop into the Tesla and take it wherever you want, which is pretty amazing. I've never driven a Tesla, so I'm kind of nervous, but I think it'll be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. This honestly is a one-of-a-kind experience, and they have Wander houses all across the US. I definitely want to check out some of the other locations, and if you guys would like a chance to win a 2-night stay at one of the Wander houses, Wander is doing a giveaway right now, and all you have to do is click on my link below, create an account by December 4th, and you're automatically entered to win. So all those details will be below so you guys can stay at one of these beautiful houses. Thank you, Wander, for partnering up with me, and now let's jump into the rest of the video. Okay, so we are back at home now, and we have just been traveling so much that I've missed being at home. I'm ready to jump back into makeovers, and I'm basically focusing on the main level of the house now. My goal is to do the powder room and the dining room before the year ends. So we're gonna start in the powder room, and I've just been feeling so inspired to do something very bold and colorful. Because powder rooms are so small, it gives you a great opportunity to just have fun and do something that you wouldn't do to the rest of your house. So I'm looking at it kind of like a little jewel box, and there are some very specific specific pieces that I want inside this jewel box that are all Pinterest inspired. So here's what I have on my Pinterest board right now, and today I want to make some of those projects happen. And I also want to give you guys kind of an overview of the powder room so you can see what we're working with. If anyone is wondering if we're all moved in yet, the answer is no. All right, so here is the powder bathroom, or powder room. I always say powder bathroom, but I know it's supposed to just be powder room. I don't know if you guys can hear, but there is a vent that automatically goes on every time I go into here, so I apologize for that in advance. But here she is in all of her glory. This is definitely a small space, but we use it every single day when we are downstairs. We mainly use this bathroom and then the primary bedroom bathroom, so I definitely want to do something here. It is very, very plain right now. Let me close this so you guys don't have to see that. And as you can tell, the whole theme of this apartment is gray and black hardware with a little bit of gold accenting. So although this looks nice, I definitely want to warm it up in here, and I want to add a lot of color to this bathroom. This obviously will also be a guest bathroom when we have people over. And it's also where I take a lot of selfies because it's the best bathroom lighting that we have. The ones upstairs are so dark, but this one, as you can see, is very lit up. We have two sconces on both sides and then some overhead lighting as well. Even though this is a small space, I feel like it's kind of big for a powder room. Like, it's literally just a toilet and then a vanity on one side, and we have ample room to kind of play around here. I'm gonna work on this back wall next week, but if you guys have any ideas for it, let me know. To give you some perspective, the toilet is slightly off-centered. Then this ceiling kind of has a little jet out. As you can tell, it's not a straight right angle, so I'm really trying to figure out if I should wallpaper or paint or do something to make this a little bit more special. I really love this mirror, but I want to do something to it so it looks completely different. The ones we have upstairs are exactly the same, and I want this bathroom to really stand on its own. So I'm gonna do a project that is going to completely transform this whole mirror. You guys know I like to keep things pretty neutral with some pops of colors here and there when it comes to my room designs, but for this powder room I want to add a lot of color. I'm kind of scared that it's all going to like mishmash and not make sense, but I think in the end it could work. This first project that I want to try out is inspired by this photo that I saw on Pinterest. I honestly cannot find the source for it. I even did a reverse Google search and it's still very hard to find, so if you guys know who made this, please let me know in the comments. But it's basically like these little ornaments that are seashells with beads and tassels, and I just love how whimsical they look. I wanted to take that idea and then translate it into something else, so I thought, why not try and do this with lanterns? I love the idea of using lanterns because it ties back to my Asian background. And I really specifically wanted to find some Vietnamese lanterns. So I was looking on Google, I was scrolling around, and everything was pretty expensive. I found some on Etsy that were a good price, but then the shipping literally cost more than the lanterns. So at that point, I thought, okay, why not try this with paper lanterns maybe? And then I checked Facebook Marketplace, and you guys will not even believe what I found. The exact lanterns that I wanted that are, I think, from Vietnam, because the seller was also a Vietnamese auntie. She even let me take the box. She was super sweet, but she had a whole bunch of these. She was selling 30 of them for only $30, so I got each one for only $1. Look at how precious. I love this so much. I think it is so cute. Needs a little bit of gluing maybe, but we can fix that and DIY it. I'm thinking of hanging a couple of these either where the toilet is or where the vanity is. I haven't decided yet. So my idea is to take some of these and add those longer pieces with the beads and maybe some different tassels as well. So these were definitely a great find, and even though I'm going to use a couple of them, I think I might save the rest just in case I need to use them for future projects. Okay, let's make this come to life. I'm starting by painting some larger cherry blossoms at the bottom and making them trickle into smaller ones towards the top, and I think this gives it some movement. And even though I'm painting on fabric, I'm just using regular old acrylic craft paint for this. When I was in high school, I finally got to decorate my own room, and at that point, I really was not drawn to any type of Asian-inspired decor. I felt like it was too cliche and dated because it kind of reminded me of my parents' decor around the house, and I really just wanted to have my own identity. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate to this as well, but now that I've gotten older, I've just come to appreciate its beauty so much more. I feel proud to have more Asian-inspired decor around the house, and I've just learned that you can reflect your heritage in your home by personalizing it to you. Right now, I'm just exploring and enjoying the process. I got together an assortment of colorful beads, cords, and tassels to really bring these to life. I'm trying to break out of my neutrals box, so this was a lot of fun for me to just play around and mix and match colors to make it feel more whimsical. And if you want to, you can totally DIY your own tassels, but I just bought these to save a little bit of time, and I will link all the materials I use in today's video in the description box below. I honestly can't believe how much of a difference this made, and even though I'm using lanterns, this project idea can be translated into so many different items to create a fun piece of hanging decor. And you can even try this out for the holidays with some ornaments if you want a more festive look. I just sketched up what I envision my mirror to look like once we transform it. Here's kind of the vibe I was going for. I have a bunch of these pinned on my board right now, and they are these gorgeous inlay mirrors. They can get pretty pricey, so I'm going to paint on the design, but this is the vibe I'm going for. I'm a little bit nervous though, because since my mirror is an oval, there's just so many parts that I have to cover correctly. If this was a rectangle, it would be so much easier to do. If you have a rectangular mirror at home, you could totally do this project, and it will probably involve less math than what I'm doing right here. What I think I'm gonna do is actually make a little template first so that I know everything fits, and then I'll cut it all out. And I'm also using scrap wood that I already have laying around. There are definitely other ways that you could do this, but this is what I'm gonna do with the materials that I have on hand. I'm using 10-inch lumber, which is wide enough for this project, and it's actually leftover from a previous DIY. So you really could use any wood, but we essentially are creating a frame made up of 4 pieces. The only difference is the top and the bottom are going to have a detailed scalloped edge. I used a bunch of round objects for this, but after doing some math and getting everything centered, my design was all mapped out and ready to go. And as always, we want to make sure that we're using a scroll blade on the jigsaw when cutting out curves like this. Such a klutz. Let's cut this out, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, we did it. Wow. Oh, I messed up on this little piece. Wow, this is gonna look so good once we sand everything down. This honestly was the part I was most nervous about because there was so much math involved to make sure that this was gonna cover the oval. And also I had to make sure that this was symmetrical, and I think it looks pretty good. And now that this is cut out, I can just put it on top of the other piece of wood, trace that, and then cut it. And that will be a lot faster because I think I spent probably an hour mapping everything out, making sure that this was gonna work. And for the second one, it's only gonna take me like 10 minutes.
We're taking a quick commercial break, so Tino, the fans want to know,
What?
since you are in this large workshop garage, do your neighbors ever hear you working?
Oh, I'm sure that they do, but honestly, I work during work hours, so I don't think most people are probably at home. Plus, it's in the garage, so I think only our 2 neighbors might hear in the garage only though. Also, we noticed that one of our neighbors has a full office in his garage. He has a whole desk set up right here with a monitor and everything. They have like bikes on the ceiling and posters, and it's really awesome to see how people have customized it. So this is definitely the beginning that we started last week, but we have more to go.
Our neighbors have bikes and everything, and we have wood clouds.
They do look like clouds.
Plus, I don't think our neighbors mind too much because we do have neighbors next door with a barking dog all day.
Yeah, literally.
I'm putting this together with wood glue and pocket holes, but you could also just use corner braces to connect the 4 pieces together. At this point, I was super excited that this actually worked, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill up all the gaps and sand it down so it looks like one piece.
Okay, here we go. Oh my god! This is gonna be so freaking cute. I am so excited about this.
I did 2 coats of primer, and on top I just used craft paint because I already had this beautiful blue color, but you could definitely use house paint as well. While that dried down, I worked on creating some stencils. You definitely don't have to make your own stencils like I did. I just wanted to customize the sizes, and nowadays you can find so many good bone inlay type stencils online. So I will link a bunch down below, as well as the project file for this if you guys want to use the same images that I did. This is the biggest stenciling project I've ever done, and I learned that you have to dab off some of that paint before you actually go over top of it. This is the best way to avoid any bleeding. For some of the smaller details, I used a slower twisting motion so that the stencil didn't lift off, and I found that to be the best method. I think the hardest part for me was actually just getting the layout correct because I didn't have everything mapped out exactly. I kind of just filled up the bigger pieces first, like all the florals in the center and the corners, and from there I just filled up the spaces as I saw fit. I honestly am proud of myself for coming up with this idea because I was not sure if it was going to work, but the more I thought about it, the more I was committed to it. It honestly is no different than making a frame for artwork, except the artwork for this just happens to be your reflection in the mirror. My biggest goal with this powder room is to play with color, and this blue is definitely doing that for me. Using color and pattern in your space can make such a bold statement, and you can do that by adding a coat of paint on the walls or just something as simple as introducing a new piece of decor into your home. I'm in that stage right now of my design journey where I just want to experiment and have fun. As I'm planning this out, I realized that I've never used this many patterns before in a room, so we're gonna see how it turns out, and fingers crossed that it doesn't all clash together because that is my biggest fear if this goes wrong.
It's been a couple of hours since I started this, and we are so close to finishing. I actually just took a break for an hour because I started filling up a bunch of the empty spaces with just some leaves, and I decided I hated it, so I covered it up and took a step away. And now that I'm looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes, I realize I do not have to fill in every single little piece of negative space.
I don't know if you could tell on camera, but there is like little outlines here because I was filling it up with little hand-drawn leaves, and that's when things started going wrong. So I covered it up, and honestly, I like it a lot better with a little bit of breathing room. There's still a couple of spaces that I need to fill up, but other than that, I am pretty happy with this. This was a very valuable lesson for me
me that I need to just stop and take breaks sometimes, because honestly, I needed to do that. Otherwise, I was gonna go overboard with all the leaves. So I'm gonna fill in only what needs to be filled in and then clean up the edges, and we should be good to go. As soon as I saw this on Pinterest, I knew I had to create something just like it. Here are my inspiration photos. This is by an artist named Carolyn Misturek. I hope I'm saying that right. Her work is really beautiful, and she has a whole series of florals. And I believe she only sells the print without the frame, unless you're buying the original maybe. But this totally reminds me of the trend when people were color blocking frames and painting part of it. You guys know that I love painting florals, so I had to include a project like this. First things first, you're going to need a frame. So I just picked some up from my local TJ Maxx. I love the ornate detailing of this. It was only $13. It's also pretty heavy, so I'm impressed with the quality of this. Could also totally thrift this, but I was afraid of finding like a very vintage piece, and I don't want to paint over that. So I opted for these. I'm thinking I'm going to stack them on top of each other, and this one has a little bit less detailing and this one has more detailing. You could really use any type of paint that you want on top of this frame. I would suggest to prime it first, just so that this doesn't peek through, because depending on the paint that you use, it could be a little bit see-through, and I want to make sure that this is opaque as possible. What the heck? I'm sticking with a sage green for this project, but feel free to use whatever color you want for this. And I definitely think using the primer underneath helped, because it allowed the paint to stick on so much better than if I hadn't used it. And I just coated the entire frame, trying to get into all of those little nooks and crannies. And while that was drying, I also prepped my paper, which I'm just using a thick piece of mixed media, and this will hold the acrylic pretty well. When it came time to putting the paper into the frame, I ended up putting the glass in the back just so that I could hold it in place and lay flat against the frame. This looks so stunning, you guys. Like, I am very, very happy with how this turned out. I think the green is perfect. Using the primer underneath really helped out, so I would definitely recommend that. I have all my paints ready to go, so now it is just time to paint on it. So I went into this painting just freehanding it and using photos as a reference. The first set I did was of daisies, because I wanted teeny tiny hints of yellow in there, but we're mostly sticking to green and white for this diptych. And for the second frame, I honestly could not tell you what kind of flowers they are. I just copied the shape of them based on a faux flower branch that I was referencing. I really just enjoyed the whole process of making this project and giving these a little bit more of a vintage feel. As someone who's always been more of a drawer than a painter, I've learned not to be perfect with every little brush stroke, because that's how you get character and movement and soul into a painting. So just embrace it and trust the process. I'm grabbing all my supplies right now so I can style everything together. These projects really just got so much creativity out of me, and I feel like they're not just projects, like they are legit pieces of art, and it just motivates me to make this the best powder room ever. It's been a couple of weeks since I felt like this, so I just feel re-energized, and I'm so excited for you guys to see this. It's gonna look so good once we put it together next week, but let's style these pieces together and show you guys how they turned out. of the powder room makeover, but I am loving all the projects already. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. They're also unique, so it's kind of hard for me to choose a favorite, but I think the mirror might be my favorite just because I love how it turned out. I usually don't use blue in my home decor, so it's definitely a new color to me. And I don't know if you guys could tell, but once I started filming the B-roll, I realized I definitely have to paint the backside of it because it reflects through. So I'm gonna do that for next week's video. I have some big ideas in there, so I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of a sneak peek for the mood board. It is a small space, but we're gonna make a huge difference in there. So make sure you stay tuned for next week's video. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe down below so that you don't miss it. I've been sharing a lot of sneak peeks over on Instagram, so if you haven't already, make sure to follow me over there. And just a reminder to click on my link below to sign up for Wander's giveaway. I honestly just feel so refreshed after being there, so if you guys want to check out all the Wander houses, I will have all their info below. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!